Hi everyone, I hope you're really well. I've got some more books for you, so I'm going to leap straight in and show you. The first one is actually a book that's only just been delivered today. It's only just out. It's by Hilary McKay and it's called The Swallow's Flight, and it's a sister book to this one, The SKYLARK'S War, which I can't remember if I've reviewed before or not. I know we certainly talked about it at book club a bit, and I think there are a few people during the war topic that you do in year 6 who might have read this one. This is a fantastic book. I'll just read you the blurb of this one quickly, which says, Clary and her older brother Peter live for their summers in Cornwall, staying with their grandparents and running free with their charismatic cousin Rupert. But normal life comes to an end as the shadow of a terrible war looms, and when Rupert goes off to fight at the front, Clary feels their Skylark summers are finally slipping away from them. Can their family survive this fearful war? And so I've read this one. I love Hilary McKay as a writer. I'm actually reading another of her books at the moment called The Exiles, which was written, I think 1990, 1991, so much earlier on in her writing career. This one is brilliant. As you'll know by now, I love it when there are sort of complex characters, people who are trying to do the right thing, don't do the right thing all the time, characters who you might think aren't the good ones, and then they turn out to do something really good. I really like that in a story. This one's got that in bucket loads, and a really interesting story. I am particularly interested in war stories, just because I guess kind of like what we're living through at the moment, actually, with the COVID pandemic. It was, you know, obviously such a horrendous time, but such an unusual time. People's lives changed in so many ways. And we have the benefit of hindsight now to look back and see how that sort of affected everybody. And I'm interested in it from a history point of view, but I'm particularly interested in knowing how real people lived through, what were real lives like. And that's one of the things I thought about a lot actually during the pandemic and all the lockdowns and things is, you know, what will we look back on? What will we remember when we're telling our children, our grandchildren, you know, friends, family about this way in the future? You know, because all we can do at the moment is live through it and just get by day to day and deal with the information we've got. Anyway, I'm waffling as always. This is a fantastic book. This one, I haven't actually read yet, so I wouldn't usually recommend a book that I hadn't read myself. But I was so in love with this one, and I'm so in love with all Hilary McKay's writing, that even though this one only popped through the post box today, I already know I'm going to love it. And this one is sort of what it's called, a sister book to this one. So it's not a prequel. It's not the exact story of what happened before. It's not a sequel. So it's not all the same characters finding out what happens to them next. It's sort of a story that's set in the same world, with a lot of the the same information that you get from this book being part of this story. But yeah, it's a slightly different take on it. So I'll read you the blurb of this. It says, "Will there really be a war?" asked Ruby, all fired up with the thought, and her mother replied, "We fought wars over less." Eric and Hans are German boys. Ruby and Kate are English girls. They grow up in worlds that would never meet until war tumbles their lives together. Then one September afternoon, there are choices to be made. How is courage lost and found? Who is really the enemy? And what does friendship truly mean in the middle of a war? So I can't tell you more than that at the moment, but I'm going to read this one soon, and I may be able to update you about it. If any of you read it, and I know lots of you read a lot more quickly than I do, and you've got anything you'd like to tell me about it, I'd love to hear. So that's those two. This, very quickly, is a picture book called My Red Hat by Rachel Stubbs. She's the author and the illustrator. And the blurb says, "A hat can do many things. It can keep you warm and dry. It can hold your dreams and cover your fears. In this gentle meditation on love and memory, a grandfather passes down to his grandchild the joyful anticipation of a life lived with wonder and openness, and a very special hat." Now, I was very, very lucky to be close to my grandparents, and I loved the stories that they told me, the things I learnt from them, and I think I would have really loved to have had a red hat, just like this grandpa gives his granddaughter here. and for that to be something really meaningful in my life. He says, I give you my hat. It will keep you warm and dry and help you keep your cool. It can be used for leisure, for pleasure, or necessity. And it goes on to talk about sort of the practical things you can do with the hat, but then also how it might be important to her sometimes to have something with her from someone that loves her to help her be brave or help her when she's upset. So this is a really, really beautiful book. I love it when illustrators actually use what's called a limited colour palette. So they don't use many colours in their illustration, as you can say. I love really colourful ones as well, but I think it's something a little bit unusual when they just use a few colours. And because this is about a red hat, it means that the red hat really stands out on every page. This is a book that I was inspired to get hold of because of my three boys who absolutely love music, well, as I do as well. And they've got their favourite songs and they talk about what those songs mean to them. This is called About a Song by Guilherme Karsten, who again is the author and illustrator of this one. And it says, as a father and son catch the train on a busy morning, they plug in their headphones to listen to music and begin a special journey together. Ride alongside them and see how our favourite songs can remind us of wonderful moments in our lives, give us hope and bring us joy, not to mention make us dance like crazy. And there are actually some well-known songs that are featured in the illustrations of this book. I can't get my words out. That it tells you a bit more about at the end. So this one, for example, might spark a little bit of recognition. Certainly perhaps in parents, if not in you guys. So yeah, that's a really, really lovely book that's going to mean a lot to us, I think. Then the last three books I'm going to show you are books that have been chosen as part of something called Empathy Day. And empathy is the ability to sort of understand other people's feelings and understand, excuse me, not just what they're feeling, but why they might be feeling that thing. And I think Miss Gunthorpe and Mrs. Udin have put some special books in the library that might be linked to Empathy Day, because the organisers of Empathy Day very much want us to understand how books can help us become more empathetic. They can help us understand other people's feelings and other people's circumstances. They can help us understand how we can be better friends to other people, how we can help them. So this book is called The Lost Homework, and it's about a little boy who's part of the travelling community. And I'll read you the blurb on the back of this. It says, when Sonny gets to the end of a very busy family weekend, he is devastated to realise that he's lost his homework book. Everyone on the traveller site helps him look, but it's nowhere to be found. Worried that he'll get into trouble at school, Sonny confesses to the teacher, but has a wonderful surprise when he discovers that he's done as much work as his classmates. So this is a really good one. I don't know a huge amount about the traveller community, and this one helped me understand more about it. And I really like books like that help me. You know, we can't all have experience of every different every different culture, every different lifestyle in the world. So books are a great way of helping us understand that if we haven't lived something ourselves. And this one was beautiful for that, and it's a really lovely story as well. It's a really great way of realising actually how much learning we do even when we're not doing our official schoolwork or homework. So that's that one. The next one, this is a poetry book called Bright Bursts of Colour by Goodfellow. And it says, from a very special kind of badger to a cat with flavoured fur, a map of the stars and book people who hide in the margins. This brilliant collection from Goodfellow is a bright burst of colour from an exciting new poet. And I love poetry. And those of you who came to book club will know that Claire, who did book club with us as well, absolutely loves poetry too. So I'm really, really pleased to be able to get some poetry in here. This is a lovely book. This one is Poems Aloud by Joseph Coelho and illustrated by Daniel Gray-Barnett. And so it's by the author that's coming to visit your school next week, which is amazing and so exciting. I'm seriously thinking of trying to somehow, well, I won't because of COVID, but somehow sneak in and hear it. I'm so excited for you all. And so this collection of poems says, poems are for reading out loud. Tackle tongue twisters, confound your classmates with riddles, make your friends laugh and transform into a ball of slime as you perform these poems and bring them to life. Discover performance and writing techniques to build your confidence. This is the perfect first book about the fun of poetry and spoken word. Excuse me. So, just like lots of plays like Shakespeare and things, lots of poems are made to be read out loud. Michael Rosen would say the same thing. You know, lots of his poems, he thinks, you know, are better read out loud rather than read in a book. But it's lovely to read them in a book as well. This is a great collection of poems. And hopefully next week you might actually get to hear, you know, the poet himself, Joseph Coelho, perform some of them. So that's all for today. And I will catch you soon. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.